Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GoldFish Report. I'm your host and researcher, investigative journalist, Louisa. How are you all tonight? Today is Friday, May 8th, 2020, GoldFish Report number 490. This is our week 171 POTUS report, part 2. It's a continuation from Wednesday night. I split it in half this week because I could. Because it saves the time on Friday, right? Hi, everybody. How are you? Let me say hello to everybody first. Welcome. Yeah, I just wanted to make an announcement right off the top of the report tonight because apparently in my part one, uh, I had a little monologue in the beginning. I don't usually do them, but I kind of felt it was necessary. There was a lot of information to talk about. And somebody was offended by it, thinking I was like directing it to them, and it's us in general. That's really kind of how I was. Hi, everybody. How are you? Thanks for joining me. That's how I intended the comment. I guess it wasn't even a comment. I guess she felt like I was yelling at everybody, but it was all of us. It was like this frustration that we all have to take back our country because we have lost our country. Um, and there's still an illusion that we have it. That's why it's difficult to shake people, wake them up, and realize that no, we have lost the country. And you can tell that by what's been going on. You can tell by the documentary by Dr. Judy Mikovits. Yes, I had been pronouncing her name wrong. It is I'm sorry, Mikovits. Get it right, damn it. And how she explained there's no justice, she has no rights. Um, and we had General Flynn go through this entire sabotage and hit job against him. Now he has been vindicated, and we have a new term now. We're going to call it Flyndicated, and that's really going to refer to the fact that it was a hit job to begin with, and then you're vindicated from that, from those, when it's a setup, and when it's sabotage, and it's a setup, and then you get that resolved, then we can call that Flyndicated. I think that's going to become a new term that we're all going to be using pretty soon. There's a lot to talk. So I wanted to apologize to anybody who felt offended by that. I wasn't directing it to you. In fact, I did end up stating, and I did respond to this person in the comment section, indicating that my comments were intended for mostly the new people coming to Goldfish Report, not the regular Goldfish Report users. We have over 12,000 subscribers, so our subscribers get it. We know this. But if you don't speak with passion and conviction, people really don't understand the conviction, the intensity, the seriousness, how grave, the time that we're in right now, that we really do need to say, what can we do for our country? So that was really the message. So I don't want to get onto that because I want to move along. We have a lot to report on, and we have the great news, of course, at the top of the report is that General Flynn was, of course, vindicated. The DOJ decided to stop. Attorney General Barr decided that there was nothing there to prosecute the man on. But I'll tell you, that did not stop the deep state from trying, did it? There's a lot of news. There's a lot going on in the news right now. Let's see what we're going to start with. I guess because this is just a little bit off the topic of the president in a way. I will talk about this new headline that Live Science is reporting. I'm going to screen share it for everybody, and I don't really know what to make of it yet. I think we all need to. Watch this very carefully, folks, because I hope this is not going to be like another AIDS virus where it is sexually transmittable. But there is Live Science is reporting that the coronavirus has been found in infected men's semen. Uh, it's still unclear whether the virus can be sexually transmitted through contact with semen. The problem with this is that obviously, if this was an intended um, virus, as many people seem to think it is, since Fauci essentially predicted that it was going to be. Um, that this would certainly be one way to stop humanity from reproducing. And I'll tell you, whoever this silent enemy is, it's an enemy of humanity. That's what it is. So think about it. What could possibly be an enemy of humanity? Think about it. Everybody has to come to their own conclusions on their own. It's the invisible enemy, but I think that there's so much more to that than simply just a virus. So, according to this study, CO. So the coronavirus enters the human body. It seems to reach sites well beyond the lungs. It's been found in the kidneys, the heart, liver, and gastrointestinal tract. And now researchers have detected the virus in semen, according to a small study. However, the findings published Thursday, May 7th in the journal JAMA Network Open don't necessarily mean that the virus can be sexually transmitted through contact with semen. No, really. I don't know. Seems to me like if it's there, could be true. Do we really need to? I don't. If it's here and it goes there, it's going to be, but can the person get sick from it? I don't know. Can the person build antibodies from it? Maybe you need to have, you know, uh, a contact with someone who has it. Maybe you don't need to catch it. You can just build antibodies from it. You never know. But I'm not saying everybody should do that. I'm posing the philosophical question. As the Sagittarius that I am, we pose philosophical questions to people. Sometimes I don't really specify that, but I am now. So here we have the study involved 38 men in China who had tested positive for the COVID-19 and were experiencing symptoms of the disease or had recently recovered. Participants provided semen samples, which doctors analyzed for the presence of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. The researchers detected this SARS-CoV-2 in sperm from 6 partners, or 16% overall. Of these, 4 patients were currently experiencing symptoms of COVID-19, and 2 patients had recently recovered. So it was still there. So for the 2 patients who had recently recovered, they were referring to the fact that these patients had only recovered like 2 or 3 days, according to the rest of this. According here, it says here, it's unclear how long the virus lingers in semen, given that participants in the study were still showing symptoms of COVID-19, had only recently recovered. The 2 recovered patients whose semen samples tested positive had only been well for 2 or 3 days before they gave the samples. So, folks, I think we need to be really, really very careful about this, and we need to get some more facts about this. Um, Transmission of COVID-19 during sex still seems much more likely through close contact and inhalation of respiratory droplets rather than through semen, the Times reported. Sure, well, if you're having sex with someone who is infected, how could you tell how you're getting it if you're you know, kissing them and everything else? You're obviously going to spread it that way as well. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on, folks. I definitely wanted to bring it to your attention because we definitely don't want this to become another AIDS. And strangely enough, we know Dr. Fauci knows a lot about that. So, I have definitely tried to. Yeah, I have tried to find that video. Hi, Sherry. How are you, dear? Hi, Tracy, Liz, Carl, Wanda. Julis Video, Go Brava, Tracy, Lady, Wind Rain, Carl, Delacroix. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I have found several other copies of this Plague of Corruption pandemic video. I think it is important to play some of it, and I will do that. But first, I do want to get to the news for those who want to hear the news up front regarding the president, and then I will play that afterwards. Okay, so this way people can tune off if they don't want to hear that. What else do we have? Yeah. So the other good news is Durham resurrects the Clinton Foundation probe. The feds disclosed DOJ's renewed focus on widespread charity and vaccine fraud. So it looks like that's True Pundit is reporting that. So that's very good that they have reopened that investigation, because we know that the IG report cited crimes against children from the Clinton Foundation. So it's definitely important that we keep that investigation going. So I'm going to screen share the news. I did report up into the 6th, May 6th, up until about 8 p.m. Any press releases that were posted from the White House afterwards will be included in this report, including let's see, Wednesday evening, all day yesterday, and today's reports up until now. And then I'll do like a short recap over the weekend, because usually we have some interesting uh, press releases from the White House that come out over the weekend, including their weekend photos, which I always like to share with the viewers. But because I don't do the report on Saturday night, I don't get to share them with you anymore. And I don't do the reports on Sunday or Monday either. So they don't usually get included, but they are posted and you can find them on the blog. So let's get to it here. And I'm also going to screen share a few videos from Twitter and some interesting things. So here we have the first part of our report for this week, our first part of our POTUS report, which you can find at the blog as well. And that does talk about some things. We have, of course, Kaylee McEnany. Sorry, I know somebody put the pronunciation in the comment section, and I don't know why. Just because I feel like I'm on the spotlight here. It's McEnany. That's her name, and I think she's doing a fantastic job as a White House press secretary. I wish her lots of luck, and of course, with her beautiful little baby there, I give her a lot of credit, and I'm really happy to see her there. But she has been hitting these balls out of the ballpark. She's been doing a fantastic job handling the press, and just the best way, the best defense is having your the best offense is a good defense, right? So she has all her ammunition lined up there at the podium for the press briefings, and it's like it's like ammunition. It's just like boom, 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 boom. She shoots them off, and one after the next, she has her facts. That's what I'm talking about. You fight fake news with facts, and that's the administration's policy on how to handle fake news. Is you show them where they said this and don't allow them to change and alter the narrative. So this is what they're doing, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. I'm going to summarize it in the whole report, so I'm not going to these transcripts are so long. Okay, here we go. It's the president, meaning governor. They had president and the vice president and the vice president had a meeting with Governor Reynolds, rather, of Iowa, in the Oval Office. So they were talking about many different things. And the bottom line is all most of the governors want the country to reopen, except New York. The governor of New York, actually the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, reported that no one is allowed to protest, period. Oh my God, what was once a great city. What a shame. What a shame. And I'll tell you, it's never been the same after 9/11. Downtown New York is like, it's like I don't know, it feels like a morgue to me. I don't know. That's how it is when I go down there. So let's just get past this press conference here, because it's a long transcript and I'm just trying to scroll through it. Very long transcript. Sorry. I hate to have to do that, but okay. We had the National Day of Prayer service yesterday. The president had also celebrated the second anniversary of the Be Best initiative, the First Lady. So that was they've done a fantastic job. She's been out there trying to remind us all to just be your best, do your best. So they had a National Day of Prayer as America engaged in a fierce. I'm going to just read a little quote from this this transcript here, which I'll share with you. on this National Day of Prayer, America is engaged in a fierce battle against a very terrible disease. Throughout our history, in times of challenge, our people have always called upon a gift of faith, the blessing of belief, and the power of prayer and the eternal glory of God. I ask all Americans to join their voices and their hearts in spiritual union as we ask our Lord in heaven for strength and solace, for courage and comfort, for hope and healing, for recovery and for renewal, and for some help already. Sorry, not to be disrespectful, but come on. This is the invisible enemy. Okay, so let's keep moving. Let's move along. Oh my God, this was another long one. Transcript after transcript, folks. Are we really? Okay. President met with Governor Abbott of Texas as well. Oh, these states, I'll tell you. So they're talking about their economically. I mean, they're really talking about economics here, and they're concerned about how this is transpiring. Some people are saying that this is going to be, equivalent to the Great Depression coming pretty soon with very high unemployment numbers. But we'll see. We'll see. And I have a if that's what it takes to make sure people are safe from whatever this invisible enemy is, however much you want to believe it's a pandemic, whatever. The president, has done what he has to do to keep the people safe, and he took advice from people as well in his administration, not his specific administration, but Fauci, who is the director of allergy and infectious disease, right? So, and we're going to see where that's going, right? Let me just go through this. There's so many transcripts in this particular reports. It's more than usual, actually. I'm not going to go through all of it. Folks, if you want to know what he talked about with Governor of Texas, you can go to the blog and take a look at it. Okay, here's something that's very interesting to a lot of viewers. The president wrote a proclamation for Military Spouse Day. Military spouses who stand alongside our men and women in uniform share in our service members' heroic endeavors through selfless service, immeasurable contributions, and noble sacrifices. Through their dedication to their loved ones, military spouses support the mission of our armed forces to defend our nation and preserve our liberty. Although we don't really have liberty, because if you can't afford to defend yourself in a courtroom, you have no rights. But they just left that part out. Okay. On Military Spouse Day, we pay tribute to these extraordinary individuals who strengthen and enrich our fighting forces, our communities, and our republic. Although I have to say, it was restored for General Flynn. So good for him. I'm happy for him, truly. And who was it? I think it was his attorney. I think it was his brother. Somebody posted on Twitter that this was a victory for all Americans. And I said, no, it's not a victory for all Americans. It's a victory for General Flynn. It's not a victory for all Americans until all Americans who have also been set up and have been suffered abuse of power by the powers that be, until they're vindicated and there's justice for them, is it then a victory for all Americans? Because, but it is a victory for General Flynn, and I am truly, sincerely happy for him and his family, truly. But in order for America to have a victory, we all need to have the same rights. And we have to have a way to defend those rights that's not going to bankrupt us and force us to sell our homes and force us into bankruptcy and ruin our credit and prevent us from ever getting employment again, and taking our children and risking. I mean, this is the reality, folks. You realize we are not free. You can't afford to be free. That's the reality of it. If you don't make $1 gazillion, right? So here we have the abiding capacity of our nation's military spouses to balance the many demands of military life, reflect their unwavering spirit, fortitude, and grace. They support loved ones who have answered our country's call to duty, raise children far from extended family, and invest in their communities through volunteer service. At the same time, demonstrating their loyal devotion to a cause greater than self. Many of them pursue their own educational and career goals and routinely face the stress and uncertainty of frequent moves, as well as the heartache and loneliness of deployment. Their individual stories, interests, and talents are unique, but military spouses share the common bonds of selflessness, strength of character, and faithfulness to a soldier, a sailor, airman, Marine, Coast Guardsman, or member of the Space Force. And I definitely want to read this, most of it anyway, because I do have tremendous, I'm a gratitude and respect for our military spouses, because they, are holding the fort down when our military is deployed and their loved ones are deployed, and they definitely absolutely need to have recognition for that. Absolutely. We just need to hold them in so much more regard, especially the military, our soldiers. They all need to be held in such greater regard than what we usually give them. So I really wanted to take a few minutes at least to kind of spend some time paying homage to them and reading that, as the president did. So moving along, President Trump declares a national day of prayer, which we just talked about. And you can come to the blog and take a look at this and read about it more. I definitely want to focus also on this wonderful anniversary of the Be Best program. And here you can see a little video of Melania, which I'm going to screen share.
Promote the values of encouragement, kindness, compassion, healthy living, and respect in our children. It remains my belief that these values are the foundation to helping our nation's youth overcome many of the challenges they may face as they are growing up. Be Best has 3 pillars: well-being, online safety, and combating opioid abuse. Over the past 2 years, I have heard from countless medical staff, educators, leaders in technology, and many more who have given a voice to these issues and help provide innovative solutions and life-saving resources. When it comes to the well-being of children, it is our job as adults to raise emotionally healthy children by passing along wisdom, strength, and values, while building their confidence in order to give them the best opportunity to succeed in all that they do. As we all know, technology has become a part of our children's daily lives, and for the online safety pillar, I will continue working with the tech community to protect children when they are online and educate them about the healthy online behaviors. From the beautiful mountains of Grand Teton to the magnificent city of Boston, I have witnessed our country's profound devotion to helping our next generation, but there is still much work to be done. This administration has made incredible progress on our nation's drug epidemic. Sadly, drug addiction and opioid abuse are still impacting the lives of millions of families and children, and too many babies are born with neonatal absence syndrome. Every state faces its own set of challenges, and I remain committed to working with our nation's leaders in the medical field and in government to help provide families with the necessary resources needed to combat the disease of addiction. But we don't need to stop at home. The 3 pillars of Be Best are also global challenges. I believe it is important to reach out to other countries in order to learn about their own solutions to the issues children face, while also sharing some of the successful programs here at home, so others are able to apply Be Best principles in their own communities. As I said in my campaign launch 2 years ago, I'm here with one goal, and that is to help children grow up to be their best self, to be happy, healthy, and contribute positively to their community, society, and the world. As our country and the rest of the world fights the invisible enemy COVID-19, and while we are facing new challenges, I believe we must continue to focus on the future, our children. Let us use this unprecedented time as an opportunity to teach our children how to use this moment of uncertainty as a way to grow and learn. I want to thank everyone who has supported the mission of Be Best over the past 2 years. It is the compassion and care of each of you that will give our next generation the future they deserve.
Well, that's lovely. That's a very lovely message, and we're very, very proud of our FLOTUS for being such a wonderful ambassador. Hi, everybody. I'm stopping into the I'm stopping into the live chat tonight to say hello real quick to everybody. Hi, Sherry. Lived in New York for 25 years. Yeah, yeah. He thought I was a Southern belle. Actually, half my family is, so I kind of have. Yeah, yeah. I've been mostly in the New York tri-state area for my whole life. Can't you tell by the accent? It sounds terrible. I tried to shake it. It's hard to do it. Okay, um, so yeah, our first lady doesn't get enough credit. She really has done a wonderful job being such a beautiful ambassador for the United States. She has done a great job. I'm really proud of her, actually. And this Be Best, and the message is a great message for our kids. Be your best, yourself, and best version of yourself. It's really a beautiful, beautiful message. Yeah. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Rob. Hi. Thanks for joining me tonight. All right, so let's move along. We've got some more to report. Yeah, I wanted to share that with everybody because I thought that was a really beautiful message. So let's keep moving. I'm not going to go over what she just said because she basically just said all of that. So, photo of the day is a woman on horseback receives the first COVID-19 test at a mobile testing unit in Bandera, Texas. She rides up on a horse. This is why you have to love Texans. You have to love them. You have to love Texans as they did it in their own style. I just love it. I absolutely love it. This is what makes America so great, really, is the people of America. And that's all I have to say. That's really why I do what I do, because there's some really, really, really amazing people in every area, every region of the country just has its own little, um, unique character and traditions and things. And you just gotta love people from Texas riding up on a horse. That's so funny. I can't even believe that. That's hysterical. Okay, so let me go back and see if I covered everything I wanted to cover. These oh my God, these are very long. Yeah, no, I didn't. Hmm. I'm sorry, folks. I'm just trying to figure out why it didn't do that. Okay. Yes, the National Day of Prayer, which we spoke about. Okay, I already did that. What is this one? Okay, here we go. Seafood industry. What's next, folks? Our beef industry, and the president is trying to protect. Not only was he trying to protect our ranchers, but here he is trying to protect America's seafood supply chain and bring jobs home. So we'll create new opportunities for American products in the global marketplace, including through continued support of our commercial fisheries and promotion of domestic aquaculture. Securing our seafood supply chain, President Donald Trump is taking action to secure our nation's food supply chain by supporting American seafood production. Today, President Trump is signing an executive order to increase America's competitiveness in the seafood industry and protect our seafood supply chain. This order will instruct agencies to expand sustainable seafood production in the United States, including furthering more efficient and predictable aquaculture permitting processes, accelerating regulatory reform to maximize commercial fishing, and upholding common sense restrictions on seafood imports that do not meet American standards. We need to do that for the beef industry as well, as we're getting beef shipped in from other countries that don't have the same standards. So people should be really careful. I don't think their stores are required to tell you where it's located, where the source of the the meat is located. You should be really mindful, folks, of that. I'm a vegetarian, so I don't worry about it, but I do worry about the making sure that I eat organic food as much as possible, because it's, it's in everything. It really is. Nothing's really safe, is it? Unless you grow it yourself, and I'm not having much success with that. So, oh, I need help big time. Um, so let's continue. While America has among the most extensive ocean resources in the world, our nation ranks 17th. 17th, folks. Love that number. In aquaculture production and imports, roughly 85% of the seafood consumed domestically. China's aquaculture industry is producing 100 times more seafood by weight than the United States aquaculture industry. So the president's working on this very hard, and he's taking action to make sure that we're protected. The reciprocal trade deals, like the United States USMCA agreement implementing tough tariffs, the president has authorized billions in support to help farmers and ranchers affected by retaliatory tariffs and so forth, and much more than that. Um, yeah, so there was an executive order for this, and there were some other executive orders too with respect to certain countries like Central African Republic. Yeah, there was another one. Here it is. Continued national emergency with respect to Yemen. I think there was one I posted 3 of them on, but it looks like, I don't know, maybe not. With respect to Syria. Yeah. So those, and of course, this letter to the Senate. Oh, right. The letter to the Senate was, all 3 of these letters were in one post. So of course, the Senate is given a letter by the president as well to notify the Senate of these continued national declarations, national emergency declarations, and which is also published in the Federal Register. Okay, so here's something new. The West Wing reads, a victory for campus justice. On Wednesday, the Education Department brought Americans a step closer to having sexual misconduct allegations tried more thoroughly and fairly, at least on college campuses, writes the Wall Street Journal. Institutions will finally have to guarantee due process for students caught up in campus kangaroo courts. More than 40% of top colleges don't even specify that their equivalents of judges and juries might be impartial. This madness will end when the rules take effect. Well, which is really great. That's wonderful news. That's wonderful news. In other news, China's government engaged in an assault on international transparency to the endangerment of other countries, concludes a report by Five Eyes Intelligence Consortium of the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the United States. In other words, it's not just the Trump administration making that case, as much of the U.S. media would have you believe, according to the New York Post. So, continuing, for the first time in history, all 50 states, 5 territories, and the District of Columbia are under a major disaster declaration at the same time. This is unprecedented. But the COVID-19 outbreak is, in many ways, an unprecedented emergency, and it calls for an unprecedented response, according to Fox News. So there's a lot going on. Here we have the Voice of American Persians news network was once a powerful tool in Washington's effort to shape public opinion in Iran. Now it's arguably the least watched of the Persian language channels available to Iranians seeking the alternative to regime propaganda. The story of a Voice of America's Persian decline is not one of stagnation, but of self-destruction. And of course, the issue with Iran is the leadership there, and of course the mullahs, which are the part of the source of the problem there as well. So let's move along. Let me just check in with the chat and see how everybody's doing tonight. How is everybody doing tonight? Bill Gates. His wife does look like Mr. Doubtfire. Mrs. Doubtfire. Mr. Doubtfire. Whatever. You know what I'm saying. Yeah. It's a little bit strange, isn't it? Okay, let's finish up with today's. We have a North Carolina disaster declaration, so that makes it 50, right? That makes it 50. I'm going to screen share in just a second some clips from the White House with our new press secretary, our lovely new press secretary. And so we have this new disaster declaration. We also have a disaster declaration for the Seminole Tribe of Florida. This is all related to COVID-19. And I'm not going to read out this, whole transcript of the press conference. You can go to our blog, the goldfishreport.blogspot.com, and you can read it there yourself. It's not a problem. And of course, today the president, let me screen share this for everybody. The president commemorated, he had a special message on the 75th anniversary of Victory in Europe Day. 75 years ago today, the last remnants of the Nazi regime unconditionally surrendered to the Allied powers, marking the end of World War II in Europe. Although he didn't mention Project Paperclip and how they brought those Nazis over to the United States and infiltrated the United States, and that's why we're in the condition that we're in now. Oh, well, I guess it was an oversight. But today we celebrate the forces of freedom who defeated tyranny and emerged victorious in that monumental struggle. We pay tribute to those who served for their service and pause to remember those who gave their last full measure in defense of the flames of liberty. The campaign to end fascism in the European theater is a somber reminder of the price of freedom. More than 30 million lives were lost and tens of millions more were shattered in the war. Most of those who perished in Europe were civilians, including 6 million Jews and millions of others from Poland and the former Soviet Union. The United States also suffered incredible losses. Of the more than 2 million Americans who deployed to Europe and the Mediterranean or patrolled the Atlantic Ocean, more than 186,000 paid the ultimate sacrifice, and more than twice that number were wounded. Most of these selfless and heroic warriors had never known life in a prosperous America. They grew up during the Great Depression, when America's economic prospects seemed bleak. Yet they answered our country's call of duty because they believed in the principles that lie in the foundation of our nation. They came from the plains of the Midwest, industrial and manufacturing towns, the sprawling farmlands of rural America, and our country's up-and-coming cities. Many had never traveled outside of their home states, but they would trek thousands of miles around the world to meet their tyrannical enemies on the beaches of France, in the forests of Belgium, and the hills of Italy, and on the hundreds of other battlefields of Europe and North Africa. These American heroes would not relent in their noble efforts until they had liberated all of Europe from the abhorrent Nazi regime. And then they all came to America and Russia, right? You know, why can't we just have full truth and disclosure on this already? After 50 years, right? They're supposed to declassify this stuff, but you're not going to see it published in the mainstream media. Some national carrier will carry it, but it may not be mainstream. You might have to find it in, I don't know, the National Enquirer or something like that. But don't be surprised if you do find it there. Okay, folks, so I wanted to screen share that and share all those with you. I do want to pay respect to those people who did, you know, selflessly go to defend our country, or what they thought was defending our country. But apparently it was, you know, who knows what it was, right? It was a sacrifice. It was a deal to end the war and bring the Nazis to America. Well, look, you know, I'm a Sagittarius. We're the truth tellers. And I just tell it like it is. Let's go over to Twitter and take a look at some of the other breaking news that I'm going to share about the president today. Thank God I have a Libra rising, and it really keeps me in line. I don't know what I would do without that Libra. Okay, let's listen to what Kylie McEnany has to say. Yeah, I got it right. All right, that's good. Very good.
But that is separate and apart from what I'm about to address right now. The FBI exists to investigate crimes. But in the case of Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, it appears that they might have existed to manufacture one. As the motion filed by the Department of Justice yesterday explained, the FBI set out to interview General Michael Flynn when they had no predicate for any investigation of any crime. Over the past week, we learned from a handwritten note the true intent behind the FBI's investigation of Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. The very day that then FBI Director Jim Comey sent agents to the White House to interview Flynn, the FBI discussed what their intent was beforehand. This is what they said. What is our goal? Truth, admission, or to get him to lie so we can prosecute him or get him fired? These notes, in addition to other evidence, raise serious questions about the handling of the FBI's handling of Michael Flynn's case. Did the FBI confront Flynn with the intent to get him to lie so that we can prosecute him and fire him? Did the FBI manufacture a crime against Lieutenant General Michael Flynn? Federal investigators appeared to paint a target on the back of General Michael Flynn. Kimberly Strassel of the Wall Street Journal laid out point by point the very concerning aspects of this case, and I'm going to reiterate them as outlined in her column over the weekend. In December 2016, Flynn spoke as the incoming national security advisor to the Russian ambassador. This call, as is customary, was recorded by the United States government. They record calls with foreigners. But in a highly irregular move, the intelligence community under the Obama administration unmasked the identity of Michael Flynn, a United States citizen who is entitled to Fourth Amendment rights and to due process. But Lieutenant General Michael Flynn received none of that. The intelligence community was hunting for evidence against General Flynn, evidence they did not find.
Yeah, so this was a witch hunt, right? Just like against the president. It's a witch hunt. This is their MO. They go on a witch hunt. They go and they look through everything and anything that they can. And when they can't find anything, then they engineer something, right? They manufacture a case. They manufacture charges. And how are you supposed to defend yourself? Are you, wealthy? Like I said in my other reports, folks, we do not have any rights if you cannot afford them, if you cannot afford to defend those rights in civil court. In criminal court, our Constitution gives you an attorney. But in civil court, you're entitled to nothing. Apparently not even due process, even if you're a general. How do you like that? But I think she did a great job. What do you guys all think about her, about Kayleigh McEnany? What do you think about her? You think she's doing a great job? I'd like to hear from you. Let me know what you think. Hi, Phoenix. How are you doing? Carl, Sandra, Winston Churchill. How's everybody doing? What do you think about that? About how Kayleigh's doing? Kayleigh. Get a damn name. I got to get these names right here. Yeah. So there's a few other things that I wanted to screen share from our Twitter page because it was relevant to our report tonight, and then I want to kind of start wrapping it up because I want to play a few minutes of the video that's been banned on YouTube. I'd like to play a few minutes of that. There are links to this and other platforms because I think we need to preserve that and share it far and wide. But let's just finish up with this. We have Bill Gates and his war against cash are a threat to our liberty, economist warns. And it's very true. Bill Gates has been publicly stating that everybody needs to get vaccinated and everybody needs to get this microchip. And I think we need to run like hell in the opposite direction from Bill Gates. So, and anything that he puts his hands on, he wants to create windows inside our body, right? Who knows what they're going to do. We are going to talk after this report. I'm going to do a little review of speaking of the devil, I'm going to do a little review of a legal case that has to do with an artificial intelligence company who is suing. You may have seen this on other channels, but I'm going to screen share it and go over some of it just so that we're very clear on what it is that they're fighting, what we're up against, if in fact there's validity to this lawsuit. But we'll do that after the POTUS report, okay? So here we have, I'm not sure what the source of this is. Miss Hood was a member of the Clinton Foundation. Well, I'm not going to, make that claim here because I don't have a source on that yet. But there's some other good clips here from the president. Here the president was with the nurses You can go on the Twitter page and check that out. We talked about Durham resurrecting this probe. That's wonderful. Here's Sidney Powell. This is General Flynn's attorney stating that she was quoting Tom Fenton of Judicial Watch, saying, what was Barack Obama's role in Spygate, targeting of Mike Flynn, and so forth. So you can go here and take a look at this with Lou Dobbs. I love Lou Dobbs. I have trouble watching his interviews these days for certain reasons, but I do appreciate Lou greatly. I really do. Here you have Mayor de Blasio saying no protests allowed in New York City. Hello, fascism, anyone? This was never about a virus, folks. This was about encroaching on our rights and giving us an excuse, a scamdemic to, we have doctors admitting that they were pressured to increase the, put COVID death, increase the numbers on death certificates and so forth. It's really turning out to be a scam, and all those people are being censored on YouTube. But good thing there's more platforms since YouTube initially went and did their house cleaning and deleted like GoldFish Report initial channel, because a lot of other platforms have come up and a lot of other people go to these other platforms. So YouTube's not king anymore, which is, how it should be. There should be fair competition. Here's Kaylee talking about the president's decision to close down the economy. She handled this wonderfully. Let's take a listen to what she has to say.
This president, when faced with this very tough decision to put a pause on the hottest economy in modern history, said American lives matter most. And that's what he did. And I can tell you this, the president that got us to the hottest economy in modern history, he's done it once and he can do it again. This president, when faced with this very
So, it was a choice he said weighed heavily on him, but definitely I think she was right, and she handled that beautifully. She also she's like, she's like torching them, honestly. She's doing a great job, and that's exactly what the White House needs. So let's see. What else did we want to talk about here? Yeah, here's this doctor who is, well, I'm going to let you hear what he has to say because I think it's important.
What if the experts are wrong? What if quarantining the healthy doesn't actually save lives? What if wearing a mask in public is not effective? My name is Dr. Jeff Barkey, and I'm here representing thousands of physicians across the country whose voices are being silenced because we don't agree with the mainstream media and the experts who are telling us what to do. Never in the history of this great republic have we quarantined the healthy. Never in the history of this great republic have we told churchgoers that it's illegal for you to exercise your First Amendment right of freedom of religion. Yet at the same time, it's essential to keep pot dispensaries open. Never in the history of this country have we been told that you can't go to church because it's not essential, but you can go get an abortion because that's essential. Never before in our country have we let criminals out of jail, but we've told you you can't exercise your Second Amendment right and protect yourself by purchasing a firearm.
Yeah, this is on our Twitter page, folks, if you want to come and take a look at a little bit more. Talking about the issue of masks, I have a personal experience that I'm going to share with you in just a moment. I have some deep fake video to share with you because I think we all need a laugh out of some of this. But let me just show you a clip about, was it deleted? I wonder, oh boy. I wonder if it was deleted. That wouldn't be good if it was. Sorry, folks, I was going through this because it's Fauci talking about how the masks don't help people. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to find that first, I hope. It might have been removed, actually, folks. It might have been removed. Sad. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it was removed, sadly. Sorry about that. So it's Fauci saying that the masks don't help stop the spread of the virus because the droplets are, on the hands. So it's really, we should all just be wearing gloves. And the fact that nobody's suggesting we wear gloves means everybody's going to get contaminated, right? So whatever they advise you to do, we should do the opposite because, that's their agenda, right? That's just, a philosophical, a speculative thought. I'm not telling anybody that's what you should do. But I am going to share something funny with you guys because I think we all need a little bit of a laugh right now. I wanted to screen share that Fauci bit, but it looks like it was removed because it's not here, and I know I posted it. So let's take a look. I really want everybody to be very cautious of these deep fake videos because they can really fake things. Let's check it out.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here live with professional drinker, longtime polygrip user, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Nancy, tell the world hello.
Oh, sorry about that.
Quite all right. Nancy, I think America and myself, we're all wondering, what is going on with Tara Reid and Joe Biden? And why are you defending Joe Biden?
Great question. Hold on. Just a second here. Can I get my sensors back into place? Okay, hold on. Just one more suck. All right, I got it. So back to your question. It's like Joe Biden is Joe Biden. Joe is Joe. And he's a good boy. He's gonna be a good president. And it's like, he eats at the kitchen table. And his father ate at the kitchen table. And his father, his father lost his job. So it's like they all ate at the kitchen table. And that's what we need.
Yeah. So this is just a little warning about deep fake videos, folks. We need to be very cautious of them so that we don't, that we know the difference between, a real interview and a deep fake interview, because you could actually make anybody say anything, apparently, according to these deep fake videos. But I really had to share that with you guys tonight because I needed to have, a little comic relief in the middle of all this craziness, right? Because let me just check in before we go over to the movie. Yeah. I don't know who Celtic Warrior era is talking about. No, guys. Okay, I'm going to give you a perspective to think about those nurses dancing on the pole. Okay, there were nurses that were dancing in the hallways who were carrying, this looked like this COVID. They weren't trying to be. Think about this for a minute. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. Think about it this way. What if you would lose your job if you were to go out publicly saying that something was a scam? What if you were afraid of some sort of retaliation or afraid of some sort of retaliation, right? If you were to go out publicly and say something was that there was somebody committing fraud or something wasn't right, what if you wanted to communicate a message to the world, but you knew you couldn't communicate it directly? You couldn't come out and say it. You knew that it would be removed, it would be censored, And of course, there would be consequences to you. What if the only way that people can get their message out is through comedy? Isn't that what George Carlin did? We look back at it now and we hear those people laughing in the audience because, you know, it's funny at the thought that we're slaves and we're being, there's a club and you ain't in it, as George Carlin said. They're all laughing. Poor George Carlin, He's like, I'm telling the people the truth, but they're laughing. And he wanted them to laugh. But how many really knew it was the truth? So my take on this, after I thought about it a little while, was that it might look disgusting what they're doing, but they're trying to tell you something. They're trying to tell you this whole something's wrong with it. Something's really wrong with it. That there's not a pandemic. There's not these bodies stacked up in hospitals. And that's exactly what they're telling us. And that's the only way they could get the message out. So you just got to think outside the box and say, why would they do that? And and I saw it from so many different hospitals. There were so many doctors. Tell me what you think. Write this down, in the live chat or in the comment section of the video, and tell me what you think about this, because I think that they're making a point that the whole thing is laughable in a sense. Not that it's laughable. It's not laughable. That the whole thing is fraud, basically. It's a scam. So you take the truth and they probably stood there together and thought, how can we get the message out to the people? Now, folks, I'm not saying this is what they're saying. I'm not saying this is what they were thinking, but I think they're pretty smart, these doctors and nurses in the hospitals. And I think it was a pretty brilliant idea for them to come up with making these skits. Not only did it show us that they're not working on all these patients that mainstream media is claiming that we have, but they said, how are we going to communicate this? And I can almost guarantee you that George Carlin's name came up in their conversations when they're sitting around the hospital. You had Project Veritas saying in his expose on CBS, they were saying that when CBS comes to the hospital, or when the mainstream media comes to the hospital, look busy. How many hospitals are shutting down because they're not busy? People aren't going to the hospital. Nobody's going. So I think it was brilliant that they took the time, they figured out how to get a message across in a comical way, the only way they felt they could without losing their jobs. Maybe they still, you can't really identify the location. You might be able to identify it, but you can't identify the people. Why? They all had their masks on. They had their gowns and their masks on. They had one scene where they were like parading one of the guys. Somebody laid down, they were all carrying him, and they had a sign on the shoes saying COVID-19, and they were like carrying it around, like kind of like doing like a Tonga line or something, or toga line. I don't know what it's called. I only did it a few times. But it was, it made a lot of people stop and think, right? It made people stop and think, and you have to think there's a message behind this. These are really smart people. They're really smart people. Do you think they're just going to publish videos online of them doing nothing if they didn't have a message to give us? So I think we should just think outside the box. I think that we should realize that they're trying to send us a message through comedy, because it's plausible deniability. That's why, right? And right, National Hijab Service in the UK. Exactly. The face mask has become the hijab in the United States. But let me also just say this situation about the masks, right? So I was in the local supermarket yesterday, had my mask on because you're not allowed in there without one. Okay? Even though the president, who declared the national emergency, said wearing a mask is voluntary. No. In the fascist state of New York and New Jersey, right? You have to have, we have liberal judge and we have liberal judges, Freudian slip. We have Democrat governors, right? It's mandatory. You cannot go into a store, any store, without a mask. Whew. But I had my mask on and I had my gloves on too, because I get it, right? I get it. I get that the mask is not, but I got to tell you something. I'm like so allergic to this mask. I can't keep this mask on my face anymore. It itches my nose so bad that I have to keep pulling it, like just pull it a little bit away from my face. I don't have one here. Let's just say this is the mask right here, right? Here I have a tissue. Let's say this is the mask. Aside from the fact we can't breathe, it clogs up my glasses, it steams my glasses, and I can't see. So occasionally I have to do something like this, where I pull it away so I can just get some fresh air in there. So I'm at the checkout counter. The boy's like 16 years old, maybe 18, doing the checkout, right? Bringing up my stuff on the belt. And I pull this away because I have to give him my special number I have, to get my discounts or whatever. And, or no, for whatever's on sale, it rings up whatever's on sale, right? And I pull this away and he says to me, ma'am, you have to have your nose covered at all times. I had my mask and my gloves on. And I pulled this away for like a second because I thought he could hear me better, you know, because, you're trying to communicate with them, right? And it's noisy, right? It's a supermarket, whatever. And I needed some air and I needed to get away from my nose for a second. So I just pulled it away for a second. And this man came down on me like he was the Gestapo police. This guy was like a Nazi incarnate. I think he was in his past life a Nazi. He was 18 years old. And I'm like the guy's like being a law enforcement officer and he's just a checkout boy at the supermarket. I didn't remove my mask. It was still on, my gloves on, everything. And this guy, I was like triggered. You can imagine me, right? I was triggered, man. That so annoyed me. I was like, what? And it's like everywhere you go, it's there. It's like, it's so ridiculous, right? There was another, so we were getting into it. And I said, what are you, being a jerk? And I thought that was being nice, right? So I was like, look, he's like, yeah, the federal government, guidelines. And I said, don't tell me about the federal government. I report on what the president does. And let me tell you, this is voluntary. You don't even know what you're talking about. And I'm like giving it to him, right? And then another store employee came over and told him to calm down and to cut it out. Well, I rang up that order so quick, I bagged it myself, got out of there, went up to the manager, said, I'm reporting your store. Holy cow, they're like, oh, we'll get a manager for you. I'm like, no, I don't even want to talk to a manager because, if I did, I would have said something I regretted, right? Because I was upset. You don't want to talk to anybody when you're upset, right? Because you're going to say something you don't want to say. So, because that's when my Sag fire comes out. And my Libra is too polite. So I use that for my GoldFish report. And when somebody like that, I have a confrontation with somebody like that, it's all Sag, all hands down. That's it. Libra loses that battle. Usually my Libra rising just completely wins the battle most of the time. But not in a situation like that. It's like the Sag just gets to the best of me. And it was unreasonable. That's why, because it was so incredibly unreasonable that the guy had the nerve. And I'm like, what are you, a law enforcement officer? You're a checkout boy. Are you kidding me? You're telling me? I was like so triggered, but this is how it is. Is this the new normal? Are we going to put up with this? This is in supermarkets, folks. He's just a checkout boy. Where does he get off thinking he's acting like a law enforcement officer? Damn Gestapo. I mean, come on. Let me tell you, we need to I was so furious. I had to walk out of that store. I swear to God, I had to walk out of that store because it wouldn't have been good. So it was just better for me to just leave. I was way too upset, and that was the right choice. I think my Libra finally, convinced me, get out. Just leave the store and don't go back there. It's the closest one to me, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to travel just a little farther because I will not go back to that store. I think that, you know what? Maybe at some point I will, but that kid needs to be fired. That's all I can say. I don't think all the employees would have responded that way, but this is where it's going. It's so out of hand. It's so out of control. Yeah, exactly. I see people driving around in their car with their mask on. Maybe they just forgot they had it on, but it's like, you poor thing. According to Dr. Judy Mikovits, she says we are re-inhaling. Where's the quote? I wrote the quote down. Where is it? Okay, she says that we are wearing a mask activates your own virus. It reactivates coronavirus expressions. So we're making ourselves sick wearing this. Oh, folks. Yeah. Now, the Bayh-Dole Act, which she talked about today, I did post a post on the on Facebook, on our Facebook news page, and also on our Twitter page. And the Bayh-Dole Act is a law that allowed, as she stated in her movie Plague of Corruption, yeah, kill them with kindness, not this guy. Sorry. Now, my best advice was to leave at the moment because I was really supercharged. I think I was in so much shock. I was in so much shock that they would be so fascist in a supermarket, and he was just a checkout boy. Like, he was liberal. He was obviously a liberal. Oh man, and he really was, needing some sort of sense of him feeling important, or have some sort of. He had the gall to think he had, the right to enforce the law. Boy, you got a long way to go. You want to be in law enforcement from a checkout boy, right? You have a long way to go. But I'm going to play a little bit of this while we still can, and then it's over an hour. I didn't really want it to be this long, but let's take a look, okay? Let's listen to a little bit of this movie before it's deleted again. Oh, wait a minute. I don't want to do that. I want to do this first. Okay. Can I share it now? Hold on. No, I'm not screen sharing it yet. Sorry. I guess I have to do that to screen share it. Okay. Here we go.
Dr. Judy Mikovits has been called one of the most accomplished scientists of her generation. Her 1991 doctoral thesis revolutionized the treatment of HIV/AIDS. At the height of her career, Dr. Mikovits published a blockbuster article in the journal Science. The controversial article sent shockwaves through the scientific community as it revealed that the common use of animal and human fetal tissues were unleashing devastating plagues of chronic diseases. For exposing their deadly secrets, the minions of Big Pharma waged war on Dr. Mikovits, destroying her good name, career, and personal life. Now, as the fate of nations hang in the balance, Dr. Mikovits is naming names of those behind the plague of corruption that places all human life in danger. So you made a discovery that conflicted with the agreed-upon narrative.
Correct.
And for that, they did everything in their powers to destroy your life.
Correct.
You were arrested.
Correct.
And then you were put under a gag order.
For 5 years, if I went on social media, if I said anything at all, they would find new evidence and put me back in jail. And it was one of the few times I cried, and it was because I knew there was no evidence the first time. And when you can unleash that kind of force to force someone into bankruptcy with a perfect credit score, and so that I couldn't bring my 97 witnesses, which included the heads, Tony Fauci, Ian Lipkin, the heads of the public health in HHS, who would have had to testify that we did absolutely nothing wrong.
And so what did they charge you with?
Nothing.
But you were in jail.
I was held in jail with no charges. I was called a fugitive from justice. no warrant, literally drug me out of the house. Our neighbors are looking at what's going on here. You know, they searched my house without a warrant, literally terrorized my husband for 5 days. They said, if you don't find the notebooks, if you don't find the material, which was not in my possession, but planted in my house.
As if you took intellectual property from the laboratory. Is that correct?
It was intended to appear as if I took confidential material, names, and intellectual property from the laboratory. And I could prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that I didn't. Heads of our entire HHS colluded and destroyed my reputation, and the Department of Justice and the FBI sat on it and kept that case under seal, which means you can't say there's a case or your lawyers are held in contempt of court. So you can't even get a lawyer to defend you. So every single due process right was taken away from me, and to this day remains the same. I have no constitutional freedoms or rights.
Yet you sit here. I think a lot of people would probably have just taken the retirement out early, laid low, but you have decided to come forth when your gag order has been released to write a book called Plague of Corruption, Restoring Faith in the Promise of Science, and you are naming names.
Absolutely.
Apparently, their attempt to silence you has failed. And I have to ask, how do you sit here with confidence to call out these great forces and not fear for your life as you leave this building?
Because if we don't stop this now, we can not only forget our republic and our freedom, but we can forget humanity, because we'll be killed by this agenda.
Exactly, folks. Exactly. I've been saying this for how long, right? And Dr. Judy Mikovits is echoing that. So we did find some new, I know there were some viewers who were trying to find the video. It's been hard to find the video. I don't want to post the links in here because I don't want them targeted. So if you want the link, email me and tell me how you found the link. I mean, how you found out, because I really only want to send this to people who cannot find it elsewhere, okay? I don't want these people. There's also a BitChute. There's also a BitChute link as well, which I have. And YouTube has no control over that. But yeah. Yeah, I'm just taking a look at the comments. Yeah. It's really serious, folks, and she's right. You can forget about humanity because this is an agenda to kill us all. This is the invisible enemy. So, you know, I'd like to hear about your comments. I'd like to hear your comments. I'd like to hear, you know, what you think about this. I'm going to play, it's over an hour. I didn't really want to go over an hour in my report, but I'm going to play just a little bit more for you, okay? Just a few more minutes. Of course, this video is probably going to get flagged. Whatever. What are we going to do? Oh, sorry. This is not the screen I wanted to share. I got to go back to this one. Here we go.
So Anthony Fauci,
My name is Dr. Tony Fauci. I'm the director.
the man who is heading the pandemic task force, was involved in a cover-up.
He directed the cover-up. And in fact, everybody else was paid off, and paid off big time. Millions of dollars in funding from Tony Fauci's organization, National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. These investigators that committed the fraud continue to this day to be paid big time by the NIAID.
And the whole world is listening to his advice for how to handle this current pandemic. How do we know that what he's saying is what we need to be learning?
What he's saying is absolute propaganda, and the same kind of propaganda that he's perpetrated to kill millions since 1984.
We know from this study quite clearly that there will be a delay in progression significantly greater than for individuals who do not take the drug.
It started really when I was 25 years old. I was part of the team that isolated HIV from the saliva and blood of the patients from France, where Luc Montagnier had originally isolated the virus.
Bon, je pense qu'il y a toute une recherche à faire à ce niveau-là qui est négligée parce que
this was a confirmatory study, but Tony Fauci and Robert Gallo were working together then to spin the story in a different way. At that time, Dr. Rossetti was out of town, and Tony Fauci says, we understand that you have a paper in press, and we want a copy of it. And I said, yes, there's a paper in press, and it's confidential, and no, I will not give you a copy of it. He started screaming at me, then he said, give us the paper right now, or you'll be fired for insubordination. And I just said, I'm sure when Dr. Rossetti gets back, you can have the conversation. And so Frank comes back, several weeks later, and is really bullied into giving Fauci the paper. Fauci holds up the publication of the paper for several months, while Robert Gallo writes his own paper and takes all the credit. And of course, patents are involved. This delay of the confirmation, literally led to spreading the virus around, killing millions.
Perhaps no one expressed the anguish of AIDS better than New York writer Larry Kramer. But he was even more angry at the federal government and the pharmaceutical industry. One person who felt Kramer's fury was NIH Dr. Anthony Fauci.
It's still been crushing to me to think that I didn't know my work in 1999 was something that had been avoided. From 83 and 82, when the virus was isolated, the virus didn't have to wait until 84 to be confirmed. Think of how many people, the entire continent of Africa, lost a generation as that virus was spread through because of the arrogance of a group of people, and it includes Robert Redfield, who's now the head of the CDC. Right along with Tony Fauci. They were working together to take credit and make money, and they had the patents on it and tailored them to IL-2 therapy, which was absolutely the wrong therapy. And had that not happened, millions wouldn't have died.
So I'm going to stop here because we're going to just talk about it for a minute, because I'm going to type this in so I can screen share this with everybody. Let's see, YH. Yeah. This is University of Wisconsin-Madison. So let's take a look at what this is. This Bayh-Dole Act she was referring to. She didn't get to it yet in the video, but that's about where she was going to start talking about it. The Bayh-Dole Act, or Patent and Trademark Law Amendments Act, is legislation dealing with intellectual property arising from federal government funded, which means taxpayer funded, research. Bayh-Dole permits universities that receive federal funding, such as the University of Wisconsin-Madison, businesses or nonprofit organizations, to elect to pursue ownership of an invention rather than obligating inventors to assign inventions to the federal government. Actually, they shouldn't be given to the federal government either. They should be given to we the people. Mankind needs to be the beneficiary. Mankind needs to be the beneficiary of these inventions. Mankind, not the government. Okay. The 60-day limit within which the government may seek ownership of an invention where the contractor fails to provide appropriate disclosure has been eliminated. the government now has the unlimited time period within which to assert ownership to an invention following the discovery of the contractor's non-compliance with the Bayh-Dole Act's disclosure and election requirements. The contractor is obligated to require its employees to assign rights in a subject invention to the contractor. Decisions to discontinue patent prosecution must be communicated to the government within 60 days prior to the statutory deadline, and the deadline to provide notice to convert a provisional patent application to a non-provisional patent application is 10 months from priority in order to give government 60 days notice prior to expiration of the application. The changes to the Bayh-Dole Act affect all new funding agreements executed after May 14, 2018. Funding agreements in place prior to May 14, 2018, but amended after that, may also be subject to the updated provisions. So what happens here, you have the university requires its employees to graduate students to sign an agreement to comply with the requirements of the Bayh-Dole Act. If these and other requirements are not satisfied, a university may not have title ownership of the invention and associated patent rights. So, I mean, I just want to know what you think about this, because if you're a researcher, shouldn't you be given and you're getting federal funds, which are taxpayer funds? Do you think that the patent should go to the public, should go to the people, should go to mankind, or do you think it should go to the government or to the university or to individuals? So I'm just curious what you think about it. I'm not here to tell anybody how to think. I'm just reporting on this, and I want to know what you think about that. Yeah. Because again, I mean, if you don't have the money to defend a patent, there's no point in having one. It's all about who's going to out-litigate people, right? But according to Dr. Mikovits, they destroyed her, so it didn't really matter. Like, you can't, they have the power. When they unleash that kind of power, there's very little that we can do. So as you all know, and it's been right, exactly, goes to the public. Okay, great, free energy, exactly. I said to someone once, I was traveling through the Mojave Desert, and this is a former military people, and I said, they're retired, and I said, they pointed out all those, believe it or not, all the, what do you call it? What are they? What are they? The solar panels. And they were, they were saying how that was in the middle of the desert. What are all those solar panels out there for, right? And it was to power and generate Area 51 and underground, right? So, or above ground, I don't know. They didn't say really. They just said Area 51. And I said, oh, and I'm just making a joke driving through saying, oh, you see any UFOs up there? And they're like, well, why do you want that? Why do you want that? I said, well, because, we need to have technology. We need advanced technology. We need free energy. Oh, nothing's free. Nothing's free in this world, they responded to me. And I'm just like, you know what? I see what side you're on. And, we all know what happened to Nikola Tesla, why he was shut down, because JP Morgan couldn't put a meter on radiant energy and charge people for it. So, folks, it's like we really have to fight for our survival now. We have to fight for our right to exist here unbothered and not manipulated. Now, I'm going to end this report in a few minutes, and I want you all to follow me over, if you'd like, to the next report I'm going to do, which is going to be just a short, I'm just going to read a little bit of this lawsuit. I'm going to screen share this just so you can see what it is. You may have seen this on other channels, but I'm just going to show it to you. This is the Cyrus Parsa, the AI organization, representing themselves pro se, which was interesting, versus the AI organization, versus Google, Facebook, DeepMind Inc., Alphabet Inc., Neuralink Inc., Tesla, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Sundar Pichai, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Sison, I don't know, Kisson, whatever, PR Newswire, and John Doe's 1 to 29. And just you could see here, misuse of artificial intelligence, cybernetics, robotics, biometrics, bioengineering, 5G, and quantum computing technology. This is the complaint. Endangering the human race with the misuse of artificial intelligence technology. Blah, blah, blah. We're going to get into all this, folks. I'm going to jump over, going to start a live stream in just a minute, and we're going to just take a look at what this complaint is. And I think everybody should be having a conversation about it at some point, but we'll start it here. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to go back into the live chat just to say thank you to everyone who's joined us tonight. I appreciate you being with us as always, and to everybody who have donated to the GoldFish Report. I can't tell you that without you, I can't thank you enough. And to our Patreons, you're the ones making this happen, because without you, we could not do GoldFish Report. And to all the people who donate to the PayPal to our channel, we need your support, or we can't bring these reports to you anymore. We really have to survive out here, and this is what we do full time. So I do hope that pro se means that you're representing yourself as your own attorney. Pro per means that you are representing yourself in person, as a person, in persona. So, and one has to do with equity law, one has to do with commerce. So there's a difference between the two. Okay, so having said that, did I answer your question, Slim? Okay. Well, thank you to everybody who's joined us tonight. I do appreciate it. Please share this. Give us some thumbs up if you haven't yet. Like our video so we can get more circulation. I do appreciate that. And again, to all of our Patreons, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to keep this going. This is for we the people. We do this for you, and we want to keep bringing this to everybody. So we do appreciate folks who join us and help us regularly every month. We can't do it without you. So thank you so much. So everybody, you have a really great night. If you're going to follow us, we'll be back in a few minutes with a new live stream, and we're going to take a look at that lawsuit, and we're going to look at what on earth is being claimed, and what we all should know about that. So I know you cannot represent yourself. I know, Slim. If you're in equity law, you can. It's different as opposed to commerce. Yeah. So again, you can present yourself. Right. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. I'm just looking at all the messages. I hate to have to shut the live stream down because everybody's so chatty tonight, but I do appreciate it. Slim, we'll talk about this another time. We'll get into the jurisdiction issue another time, not tonight. The masks, I'm telling you, I can't wear these masks. I feel like I'm getting sick and the more I wear them, because I'm rebreathing all of my own, germs and everything. And it's really unhealthy. And yet it's I mean, I had this little Gestapo Nazi in the supermarket yesterday telling me that like he was a law enforcement officer, like he was some sort of SS officer. It's like, who is this punk? Okay, I don't want to get triggered again. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you guys also on Monday. If you're not going to follow me on the next live stream, I'll be back on Monday with another political theater with, of course, the Fets. We're also going to have probably one of our other shows, other reports rather, that we've done on Ascension Radio tomorrow night. So you can look out there for one of our archived reports. And yeah, sheep will wear masks. Exactly. But if you live in a state where it's mandated and you're going to have Gestapo arresting you, what are you going to do? Right? Everybody have a great night. Yeah, wearing a mask kills your immune system. No kidding. I feel so sick after wearing my mask and then and I had it on. I had gloves on. And the kid was giving me a hard time. I am like, God, good thing I left that store because it was like a mushroom cloud, I know when I need to stop, but I said what was important and then I left, I said what I had to say because it was just wrong. It was so wrong. He was just so out of place doing what he was doing. He was acting like a law enforcement. It's like, man, you're in the wrong business being in a supermarket, right? let's get out of here. It's really like, you know, he was like a police officer wannabe. It's got a long way to go from checking out, you know, being a cash register clerk. Okay, guys, have a great night. If you want to follow me, I'll be doing another live stream in a few minutes once I get that set up, and we're going to talk about this case. It's just going to be quick because I don't want to get into the legality of it. It's in current litigation right now, but I thought I just wanted to go over really the allegations that are being made because it's pretty serious. So you guys have a great night. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for all of your comments and for your thumbs up. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report. My goodness, longer than I wanted, but I think it was worth it. Thanks everybody.